sometime 9 a.m. Eastern time.
Yes, I think like the times were pushed out to the various groups. So whatever time that was pushed out to your group is the time that we will be meeting.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Oh, Dr. I had one more question. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, once you pay for that entry level, how long do you have access to that information?
12 months from the day you finish.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Yes. So if you finish, let's say in the next 4 months, 12 months from the 4 months.
Hello.
Right.
Yes,
go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm calling you from Africa, DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo.
Oh, okay. It might be night there probably.
Excuse me?
Yeah, it's probably like midnight or something over there.
Midnight? What do you mean?
Midnight. Like
yes,
what
it's
time
midnight. Yes. Okay. Excuse me. My English. I'm not very proficient in English. I am a French speaker. I'm good in French. Yes. I saw also the advertisement of your programs, and I was also interested with internet, with cybersecurity, but we are sometimes facing not good institutions with these programs. And also, I went on your website. I've seen the content, but the price is very high. And I was just, when I saw this opportunity for scholarships, then I wanted to know if I can like have access, because the education system here at university in my country is $300 per year.
Okay.
But to afford the price that you give, I don't know. For someone who doesn't work, even if you work in this country, they don't pay you that money. You see.
Okay, so the scholarships that we're going to be awarding today is we're not going to pinpoint anybody, is at random, right? And we have a criteria for picking who is going to win. So if you are lucky and you're one of them, then so be it. But for you, get in contact with ADDI. ADDI is an organization they sponsor, so they have a partnership with us. They sponsor African youth to study cybersecurity. So I think they've sponsored almost like 20 African youth on the continent. So you can, if you go to their website, you can apply through ADDI, and if you get approved, they can, sponsor you for you to come and take the course.
Okay, so do you mind typing for me the ADDI so that I can't miss?
Yeah, I think their website is our ADDI.org. So I have it in the chat. You can.
Yes, I got it. Yeah.
Yes. So go to their website. You see cybersecurity training. You can apply through them, and if you get approved, and if you are lucky and they select you to be one of their students they are sponsoring, then yes, you can participate in this.
But for the cybersecurity insurance programs you are providing, do you have is there a fit for me?
What, like cybersecurity insurance program?
Yes, those some kind of entry levels, because I did just some small classes of Cisco, some introductions. But do you think you have some programs that might be benefit also for me?
Yeah. So we have programs. We have programs for absolute beginners. So if you have no IT background or cybersecurity background, yes, we have our cybersecurity entry level course is going to be a good starting point for you.
Okay. So there is someone mentioning here the website you sent is broken.
No, so don't take like what I typed in there. Go to or Google our ADDI.org.
Yeah.
It will take you to their website. Josh, go ahead, and then we will continue. We will start here shortly.
Oh, I was going to say the same thing, that the link didn't work. So you just answered my question. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so I think it's time for us to begin. So welcome everyone. This is Eretmis Cyber Chat. We do this every Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. And I want to personally welcome everyone. I think today we are starting off, we are not even 10 minutes in it. We have 182, right? So a thumbs up to everybody. You've done well. And there's going to be some goodies that are going to be shared. So that is maybe probably the numbers. Mostly we are around 130, 140, 50. But we have a good number today, so which is good. All right, so I appreciate everybody's time. Today's topic is going to be cybersecurity insurance. So we are going to look at, cybersecurity insurance, why we need it, and where it fits in cybersecurity. And then once we've gone through that, we will choose our lucky winners for tonight. And then also we are going to announce we're going to have an Easter sale. So it's going to be a 30% off, like we did, I think, during Christmas. So you can also take advantage of that as well. Now, if you have any questions before we move on, please put it in the chat. Once we've gone through everything, we will look at the charts and we will address every question. And then also we are going to open the floor for you to ask your questions once we've gone through the whole presentation. So I appreciate everybody's time. We are starting time now. So this is Eretmis Cyber Chat. Welcome to Eretmis Academy. If you are new to the family, share the word and spread the love. We are on YouTube. Everything that we do for Cyber Chat, we post it on YouTube, right? It has we have really good content for whether you are in the industry already or you are trying to get into the industry. It's a good place to start. It's all free content. You can go through that, have some situational awareness, see what is going on in the cyberspace, and hopefully you can join one of our classes in the very near future. So myself, I'm going to be your presenter. I'm Dr. Emmanuel Edu. For anybody who this is the first time of meeting me, I'm a former United States Army captain. I'm the founder of Eretmis Academy and Eretmis Inc. and the CEO of Eretmis Inc. Eretmis Inc. is a QSA company. We are a cybersecurity consulting firm based in New York. We specialize in PCI DSS audits or assessments and everything cybersecurity. Right. I'm a former professor at University of Maryland Global Campus and also CTC. And I love to teach. Right. So I think please unmute yourself if you are on here. All right. So let's continue. What are we going to be looking at today? So as usual, we will look at some cyber news, right, for the week, and then we will jump into what is cybersecurity risks, and then from there we will jump into the types of or how to deal with risks, and then we will see where cybersecurity insurance fits in or comes into the equation, and then we will look at the types of insurance. We will look at some use cases when it comes to insurance and data breaches. So everything that we are going to do is not necessarily going to follow this order, but we are going to touch on everything that is on here, right? So we are going to begin with cyber news. So this first cyber news is about FDA. So the FDA has announced that all medical devices that they are going to register from yesterday, moving forward, it has to meet a certain cybersecurity requirements, right? They just came up with this. This was actually a law that was signed in 2022, but they are implementing it now. So for all medical devices that we use in medical settings, hospitals, and other medical institutions, if it has to go through FDA for approval, it has to meet certain cybersecurity standards that has been set forth by FDA. Now, to get more information on the specific standards, you can get it on FDA's website. And also to, this branch off a little bit. So for all these medical devices that we use, almost all of it, the ones that can connect to the internet, we call them Internet of Things, right? IoTs. And for IoTs, is really problematic, right? So your smartphone, your smartwatch, your smart scale, your smart everything that you have, with the exception of your smartphone, they are all Internet of Things, right? And Internet of Things, they are very notorious for not being secure because manufacturers don't focus on security when they are making them. They focus on like the functionality of it and how cool it's going to look. They don't really focus on security. So it's very easy, or if you have it as part of your network, with either your home network or at work, it makes it very, it increases your attack surface. So attackers are able to get through the network through your smart TV, smart watch, smart scale. It's very easy for them to get into your system. And I think this law that they've passed is kind of, as part of HIPAA, right? Trying to protect health information. If you have, medical devices and systems that are connected to the network and are not secure, then attackers will be able to use that as a path to get onto your network. So I think it is a step in the right direction. You can read more about it and get, a little bit more info on this if you go to FDA's website, or you just Google, FDA's new regulation on cybersecurity. Now, the second news that we will look at is APT. So I think we talked about APTs, I think a type of APT about 2 weeks ago. Now, we'll be looking at an APT that is supposedly sponsored by China. They don't know that for a fact, but they suspect this APT is sponsored by China. Now, if you are not familiar with APTs, it's advanced persistence threat, right? Advanced persistence threat, they are high-level hackers, right? Hackers who are very sophisticated. They have a lot of money and a lot of backing, so they are able to operate, and they have everything that they need in terms of resources. They have it, and mostly APTs are sponsored by countries and by huge corporate organizations, right? So the United States suffered a breach, I think last year, thereabout, where they suspected that the hackers broke into the government's network, and they were sitting on the network for almost 6 months, maybe possibly even longer than that, right? And they suspect that these attackers are still very active, trying to, break into other government agencies or other government networks. And they suspect that, this, or like whoever is perpetrating this, the advanced persistent threats, they are sponsored by China, right? We don't know that for a fact, but that is what they are saying, and they are able to link. I think some of this group, they call themselves Red Gulf, and they are able to link some of their strategies and how they attack to APT-14, right? So with APT, or all forms of attackers, all known attackers, they've been labeled and they have names. You can get more info on this through MIDA and Attack. They have a list of almost all the APTs in the world, and they are given these names based on, the types of attacks, and I don't really know how they go about that nomenclature. And some of these APTs, they also let you know this is their name, right? So that is also in the cyber news. Now let's get into today's topic, which is RICS, cybersecurity insurance, right? So we can't talk about cybersecurity insurance without first looking at RICS in cybersecurity, right? Everything that we are doing in cybersecurity, regardless of whatever role or responsibility that you have, or what your job description is, everything we are doing is to overall to reduce risks, right? For whichever organization we are working with, we are working for. So whether it be the government side or the corporate side, the main, or like the end all be all in cybersecurity is to mitigate or reduce risks to a negligible level, or to the level that the organization can accept, right? So we call that risk appetite, to the level that organization can say, okay, I think we can, go with this level of risk. Now, reason why we are reducing it not to zero, because it's not possible to reduce risk to zero, right? No, you can never reduce cyber risks to zero. There's nothing like zero risks in cybersecurity. There's always going to be some risks, but how low can we reduce the risks? That way the organization is more comfortable with it. And if the risk is supposed to materialize, it is not really going to cause a grave impact on the organization. So that is the goal for everything that we do in cybersecurity, is to reduce risks, right? Now, what by definition, what really is risks? So in simple terms, risks is when a threat takes advantage of a vulnerability within our systems, right? Or on our infrastructure or on our network, in our cyber or in our IT setting. If a threat takes advantage of a vulnerability or exploits a vulnerability, then there is risks. So in simple terms, when risks do materialize, it affects confidentiality, integrity, and availability, right? Now, we're not going to get too technical into all those areas, but risks, cyber risks will cause harm in one shape or form to the organization, right? And mostly when this occurs, it can be, so the risks that is going to materialize, it can be a data breach, right? It can be an attacker, who is trying to hack into your systems. It can be, natural disaster, right? It can be flood, it can be anything. Insider, somebody who works within the organization, who is disgruntled, can decide to also, cause problems or cause like havoc within the organization, or, in terms of perpetrating some cyber attack, right? So everything that I talked about, will constitute what we will term as cyber risks, right? But the technical aspect of it is if, threats exploits a vulnerability within your infrastructure, and either confidentiality, integrity, availability is compromised, or all three are compromised, right? So that is risks. Now, we will look at how to deal with risks, and where insurance companies or like risks, cyber insurance will come into the equation, right? So what are some of the consequences of risks? We just talked about the damage that an organization can suffer from risks if risks is to materialize. Now, let's look at some of it, a list. So if an organization experiences if cyber risk materializes within your organization, these are some of the negative consequences that can, happen. I mean, it's not like there's any positive consequences if you suffer cyber risks, right? Maybe the positive side is to alert you to sit up when it comes to security. But the first is financial, right? Financial loss, organizations that suffer cyber risks, cyber breach, or that, cyber risk materializes within the organization, they will lose financially, right? Either by fines that are put in place by regulatory bodies or by the industry, legal fines, right? They are going to lose some, stocks, right? And customers are not going to patronize them as, they were supposed to. They have to pay fees and penalties for customers who will sue them. So there is a whole list of, financial losses that we can talk about. So financial loss is one. Operational disruption. So the organization wouldn't be able to function as it used to, right? Sometimes it can take weeks and months for them to recover and get back to operation. We are all aware of some of the popular breaches, data breaches, which constitute cyber risks last year, right? So the Colonial Pipeline, Garmin, the whole list of them, when they experience their data breach or when they experience their ransomware attack, sometimes like it took, I think for Garmin, it took them almost like 2 weeks to be able to, sort it out and pay the ransom and to be able to get back to business, right? And this is a GPS company. People are using their services. And if you're using their phone, watch, or anything, you wouldn't be able to use it because they were offline, right? So it's going to disrupt how they operate and how they do business. And they are going to lose customers as well, because your customers are not going to be sitting down waiting for you to come back if they can, go to a different company and get the same service. Reputation. So one of the biggest damages that organization can, it's going to take them a while to recover from is reputation. So reputational damage is one of the big negative consequences that you suffer when you cyber risk is to materialize within your organization, right? So your reputation is going to go under, and that is going to affect your revenue. It is going to affect how customers perceive the organization, right? And it's going to be that stigma, because now you are going to be used for cyber attack case studies in schools and in cyber, security institutions, and in settings like this, because we are going to talk about some of these companies, right? And you don't want your name to be in that list during such discussions, right? Now, legal and regulatory consequences. So within the cyberspace, there are what we call frameworks or standards that organizations will have to stay in compliance with, right? An example is HIPAA. Another example is PCI DSS, FESMA, FEPA. There's a whole list of it. GDPR. So all these are regulatory and compliance standards that organizations will have to stay in compliance to, right? If they fail to stay in compliance with these like regulations and these like legal like compliance standards, we are going to go back to the first item on the list. They will lose financially because they'll be hit with penalties and fines, right? It's also going to impact their reputation. They are also going to be distracted because they cannot be functioning like they used to operationally. Because, for example, if PCI, you fail your PCI compliance or you get breached and it bordered on you not staying in compliance with PCI, card brands, owners of PCI will fine you. They can even, prevent you from accepting credit card and debit card as forms of payments for your company, right? And how well is that going to be for your company if you're not allowed to take card transactions? So legal and regulatory consequences are also part of some of the negative, aspects of encountering a cyber risk, right? Now we are building, going through all these, building a case to why we need cyber insurance and the types of cyber insurance that are out there, right? So now the last thing that we look at is loss of sensitive information. So if there is a breach or a risk is to materialize, right, mostly the ones that border on either ransom attacks or either just pure data breach, they just, breach your network and then they steal data. Those ones will result in loss of sensitive information. So with some of the case studies that we're going to be looking at here shortly, we will see the number of sensitive information or data that was lost through the breach, right? So typical like example that always keep ringing in my head is Capital One, because I think when they were fined, there was one Thursday morning, right? I picked up my phone and that was the first news feed that I saw. They were fined $80 million for a data breach, where I think the attacker was able to steal almost 100 million credit card and debit card information from them, right? So that is loss of sensitive information. Now your customers will be the ones at the losing end, and then they will turn around and come back and sue your company. They wouldn't really patronize your services anymore. So loss of sensitive information, mostly not just the ones for the customers, but also for the company as a whole. I think there are some hands that are raised. Okay, we'll go with Tewu and then Randall, and then we'll continue. Please keep it brief, right? I've seen like your hands have been up for a while. Please go ahead.
My quick question is in explaining risk consequences to the C-suite executives in organizations, what will be the most appropriate way to explain to them, like you're explaining to folks who are not tech savvy or probably do not really have the same technological advancement or understanding like everybody else? Like you want to explain to the layman, how will you let them understand the consequences of that risk?
Okay, so you have to put it in context, right? It depends on what you are briefing them on, right? So are you briefing them in relation to how much they're going to lose in terms of money if the risk is supposed to materialize, or you're just explaining risks as risks, cyber risks to them? It has to be in context. So that will really influence how you are going to break it down and what kind of scenarios you are going to use to make it really make sense to them, right? I hope I'm making sense.
Yes, sir. For instance, if probably you are the lead or probably you are the manager within the SOC team, how would you manage the communication to those CISO executives, if you want to tell them?
So like what I'm saying is, what do they really want to know? Are we going to explain, like we can't just explain risks to executives in a vacuum, right? Then we are just doing like academic discourse. So we cannot just be explaining, okay, risks is, there has to be a reason for why you have to explain risks to them. And not just explaining risks to them, but showing them the numbers either through your qualitative or quantitative risk assessment that you did, right? So let's say I'm going to help you on this one. So let's say you've done your risk assessment and you are briefing them on that, right? Is that like something on the lines of what you are asking?
So, yeah.
You are coming in broken.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So company executives, C-suite, what they understand really well is money, right? So mostly when you do your risk assessment, we have qualitative, quantitative, but we are going, in every setting, you are going to combine both, right? So qualitative, we are looking at the quality. So risks, we are looking at it in terms of low, high, medium, critical, right? And then when it comes to quantitative, we are looking at dollar value, how much we're going to lose if this risk is supposed to materialize. Right? So for your executives who don't really care about the academic definition or the cyber definition of threats, taking advantage of vulnerabilities and all that, you can simply let them know, hey, if we get breached or if attackers are able to get onto our network, how they get onto our network doesn't really interest them. But what they want to know is how much are we going to be losing and why those figures? So as part of your risk assessment, you are going to tell them these are the ways attackers can get onto our network, right? So maybe if you need, if the risks they are able to get onto our network is going to affect A, B, C, D, and it's going to cost us maybe $1 million, right? And then you can also do the qualitative aspect of it with a high, low, medium. Chances for them to be able to get onto our network, the risk is low or high. But after saying low or high, you have to back it up with some quantitative analysis on the side. So in terms of money. So when you can say low or high or medium all day, but how high, how low, they understand money. So if you tell them it's going to cost us $50 million, now you're going to get everybody's attention. People who are not paying attention will now tend to look at you, 50 million what? Right? What can we do to prevent it? Now you go down your list, still breaking it down, right? So maybe if you have to do security awareness training, that way people are not falling victims to phishing attacks. So we have to do training, teach people how these attacks happen and, why they shouldn't click on, emails, unsolicited emails and stuff. So, like you break it down, but that is not a place for you to go define social engineering and the different types of it. And they don't really care about that. So you go straight to the point, make it simple and easy for everybody to understand. So I hope that helps.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. And I mean, we can talk more offline. If you have some specific situation, that is why you're asking this, we can talk more offline and it will make more sense because mostly, like I said, you can't just explain risks to executives, without any context. So they should have asked you something or they are looking for something that will inform how you are going to break it down for them to understand. Randall, please go ahead.
If you'd like, in the interest of time, we can keep going. Are you okay?
Yes. So we will cycle back and come to you. All right,
sure.
Thank you. So now we just looked at loss of sensitive information. Let's move on to some case studies. So Yahoo in 2013, I think not just 2013, Yahoo has just been hacked, over the years. So 2013 was a big one. The impact, 3 billion accounts, right, were compromised. LinkedIn 2021, 700 million users accounts were compromised. Facebook 2019, 533 million users accounts were compromised, right? Marriott, 500 million customers were compromised, and they were fined 18 million pounds in the UK, right? Now, the rest that we've looked at, all these people, they didn't get away free. Yahoo and all them, they paid fines, but we didn't put them on here. Now Marriott, we put it in here. I think that was like Marriott UK. Not sure. I think like Marriott, as the business, but they got fined $18 million. Now Twitter, I think most of you might probably remember this. So around July 2020, I think it was one evening where the Twitter accounts for Obama, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and them, they posted on there that they were giving back to the community, right? So if you sent maybe $1,000 in Bitcoin, they were going to double it after 30 minutes and send it back to you. I know most of you might probably have heard or know somebody who did send the money. Now, that was an attack on Twitter, right? Twitter's one person in Twitter who had admin privileges or some privileges that was very high. Somebody who could literally delete your account or tweet in your account. That is how much privileges that they had on the system, right? That person was compromised, or like attackers were able to get onto his system, and they used that to push out, that fake message. But if it was coming from Obama's original Twitter handle, everybody's going to believe it, right? It was coming from Apple's Twitter handle, you are going to believe it. And that is the official Twitter handle. So people really didn't, and it was very believable, right? It was coming from Bill Gates, Obama, like original Twitter handles. So, and people who wanted some free money also sent the Bitcoin money, and they never got the money back, right? Later on, Twitter came out after 20 minutes or 30 minutes to say that, that was a Bitcoin scam. So people who sent the money, they lost that money. But that was a breach that Twitter suffered 2020, not too long ago, and 500 million customers, fell victim to this, right? So, and Capital One, the one that I was talking about, 2019 was when they got breached, or they experienced their cyber attack, and they got fined, I think 2020, around April 2020, they got fined $80 million. And that's a lot of money by the US bank regulators for not protecting the cardholder data of their customers, right? So all these are case studies that we are using to build our case for cyber security insurance, right? And let's jump into how to deal with cyber risks. So moving into, we've seen all these, we've seen what cyber risks is, we've seen the case studies. Now we are looking at how to deal with cyber risks, right? If risks is supposed to occur, or as part of the planning process for organizations, or as part of their risk management, they have to discuss how they are going to respond to risks, or how they are going to deal with risks, right? Now we have, traditionally, we have 4 ways that we deal with risks, or, on the concepts or academic theory side of cybersecurity. And this is also in practice, not only as concepts or theory. How do we deal with risks? So we can, 1, avoid risks. We can transfer the risks. We can mitigate the risks, or we can accept the risks, right? So what is avoidance? We can pretend the risk doesn't exist or is not going to occur. And I mean, we are just there. We're just going to ignore it, right? That is not the best way to go. Transfer risks. We can transfer the risks to a third party. So instead of us dealing with the risks, we can transfer it to somebody else to deal with it. And that is where insurance people come in, right? So we are going to look more into the transferring aspect tonight, right? And then we have mitigate. So we are going to put in measures to help reduce the risks to a minimal level. That way, if it is supposed to occur, it's not going to be of grave impact to the organization, right? And then acceptance, we can choose to accept the risks, right? So if it is going to cost us, let's say $50,000, if the risk occurs, so let's just give a very simple scenario. If the risk is that our laptop, or one of the laptops within the organization in a specific area can be stolen, right? There is that chance or that possibility that it can be stolen. So there is a risk that it can be stolen. And if it is stolen, it is going to cost us maybe $5,000 to replace the laptop. And the measures that we can put in place or what we can do to put in place, maybe we probably have to invest in some high level security door that is going to make it impossible for attackers to get into that part of the building. And that door is going to cost us $50,000, right? Obviously, return on investment, if $50,000 is going to be used to prevent a $5,000 risk, then we can choose to accept the $5,000 risk, because if it does occur, it's going to cost us only $5,000 to replace. Even if it occurs 5 times in the year, it's going to cost us what? $25,000 to replace, right? Still, it doesn't really get any close to the cost of the measure that we have to put in place to prevent that risk, right? So that is just a very simple risk analysis that I'm doing right there. So at that point, we can choose to accept the risk, right? So we can, choose to accept the risk, because it's going to, if we accept the risk, it's going to cost us less than if we put in place a measure that is going to cost us more. So at that point, we can accept. And then also, if we put in place measures to reduce the risk to negligible level, so residual risk that is left, we have to accept that we have no choice. So the way that we accept risks is what I've just explained. Now, what we'll be looking at tonight, the cyber security insurance aspect, it borders on the transfer part of the transfer strategy of dealing with or responding to risks, right? So the transfer part, we are transferring that responsibility to a third-party company, and mostly that will be an insurance company, right? So if the risk is to occur, the insurance company is going to bear the cost, right? So we are not going to be the ones bearing the cost. Still, that does not really take the responsibility of trying to mitigate risks from the company, right? What insurance companies don't do, we are going to look into that, but they are not going to be the ones trying to prevent the risks from occurring. It is the duty of the company to make sure they have measures in place to at least reduce the risks, and also to prevent, if it's possible, to prevent the risks from occurring, right? Now, because although the insurance part of it is good, insurance is not going to, what they are going to help you is with the financial loss aspect of the whole equation, right? They are not going to be the ones who are going to be helping you with restoring back your lost goodwill or your name, right? So reputational damage is not going to be them. So you have a lot to lose, even though when you transfer your risks, you are still going to save some money on the backside, but it behooves you as a company to make sure you have strategies in place or countermeasures in place to prevent risks. So now, with that said, we will move into cyber insurance. So cybersecurity insurance or information security insurance, what is it? We will look at the types of it that are out there. Mostly when we talk about cyber insurance, it is companies who invest in these. On the individual level, I think maybe you could, depending on what you have going on, right? But mostly this is purely for companies. Now, cyber insurance has, came up not too long ago. It wasn't a thing 15 years ago, even 10 years ago. Like, it came up not too long ago, right? So even with the insurance companies, they are still, trying to figure it out. So, but at least at this point, they are in a good place. And as the cyberspace is changing, they are also changing some of the items that they have on their insurance. So cyber insurance, also known as cyber liability or cyber risk insurance, is a type of insurance designed to help prevent organizations or to help organizations with the financial aspect if a cyber attack is supposed to occur, right? So from theft, from your system being breached or hacked, from ransomware attack, from insider threats, even from like natural disasters that we also going to call cyber incidents, they will help you with that, right? So let's look at who needs cyber insurance. So I just talked about that. Any company or businesses, all businesses of all size and forms and shape, whether small, medium, large, they need some form of cyber insurance, right? Because cyber attacks or like the risks, cyber risks It's not peculiar to any special company or any specific industry. In today's day and age, everybody is susceptible to cyber attacks in terms of companies, right? But there are some industries or companies specifically based on what you are dealing with as a company will really require you to have cyber insurance, with no ifs or buts. So an example, businesses that store important data online. So if you are storing any form of data online, you need cyber insurance. So whether in AWS, on your own cloud, whether you are storing it in Azure or any of these cloud service providers, you need insurance, right? Businesses with large customer base, you need insurance, because if you're a business and you have a large customer base, chances that you are accepting credit card and debit card from these customers are high. Even if you are not, you are saving, at least you have their data, some form of PII from your customers. So you need cyber insurance. The next one is companies with high revenue or valuable data assets, right? So high revenue, valuable data assets, you need cyber insurance. Now, this probably cover almost everybody, right? But based on, regardless of your size, regardless of your what you do, right? I personally think every company needs cyber insurance just to have that peace of mind, right? Because cyber attacks is a matter of when. Everybody's going to get breached at a point in time. It's a matter of when, not how, right? So it's better for you to be ready, have some form of insurance. That way, if you get breached, you don't go out of business. Now, statistically speaking, small to medium companies that experience a data breach, 68% of them go out of business after 6 months of the breach. So if you're a small company, it behooves you to get cyber insurance. And that is, they go out of business partly because of the money involved in it, right? So if there's a ransomware attack and you have to pay, or like you got hit with something and it's going to cost you, like your customers are suing you and all that, you have to pay out of the company's coffers. Maybe the company doesn't have that much money. It's mostly for small to medium. You wouldn't have that money to be able to cough up $80 million like Capital One did, right? And even for those big companies, they all have insurance. So mostly when they get breached, is the insurance people who will be scratching their head, not necessarily your company, right? So now let's move into the types of cyber insurance that are out there, right? So we have first party and liability coverage. So your first party mostly will cover, we will look into like first party and like the liability coverage here shortly. I was getting a bit ahead of myself. So, and then also for aside just your cyber insurance, there is another form of insurance for companies, maybe probably companies owners here will be aware of this. So we call it the technology error and omission coverage as well. So that kind of goes hand in hand with your cyber insurance, and we will discuss what that is also. And for also everybody on here who necessarily doesn't have a company, at least this is some really good educational, eye-opening aspect of insurance, cyber insurance for you to know. So for your first party coverage, first party cybersecurity insurance coverage, it covers the following, right? So if there is a breach, investigations into the incident or the breach, risk assessment of future cyber incidents. So risk assessment that you're going to conduct to kind of guesstimate if such an incident will be able to happen in the future, your insurance is going to cover, right? Loss of revenue due to business interruption. So if, let's say you're Amazon and by the second you are losing money and there's a ransomware attack and you've been offline for 5 months, insurance is going to pay for all that revenue that, anticipated revenue that you would have lost, right? That you are losing, right? And then also ransomware attack payments. So if you get hit with ransomware attack and the attackers are asking for $1 million, guess who is not going to pay? Your company, your insurance company is going to pay. And then also notifying your customers about cyber incidents and providing them with anti-fraud services such as credit monitoring. So if an example like the Capital One example that we looked at, 100 million customers they were compromised. So their credit card, debit card information were exposed and they were being sold on the dark web. So what are you going to do to compensate your customers to help monitor their credit and also to help prevent anybody who is trying to use their card? All that, going through that is going to be a lot of money that has to be paid for service providers like that to monitor this, and all that is going to be paid by your insurance coverage under the first party coverage, right? And the most common first party insurance coverage is the data breach insurance, right? So let's move on into the third party or the liability coverage. So with that, it also covers anything in terms of a third party who is suing your company for damages as a result of a cyber incidents, right? So with a third party, let's say you are a customer or I'm a business working with your business, right? And you get breached, and through your breach, I also get breached or I lose something, or in terms of money, in terms of business, I can sue you. And when I sue you, guess what is going to cover this? Is your third party or your cyber liability coverage, right? Not the first party, right? So some of the things that are covered under the third party is your attorney fee and court fees, right? For legal proceedings, and then also settlements, whether in court or out of court, and regulatory fines, like the one Capital One had to pay for non-compliance, and for any other non-compliance regulatory fines that borders on the incident, the third party is also going to take care of that, right? So now we've seen the third party and first party. Let's look at. Okay, please mute yourself. So now let's move into what I mentioned shortly, the technology error and omissions aspect of insurance, right? So this is not necessarily cybersecurity insurance, but is technology error and omission insurance. And this is for companies, mostly for companies within the technology side of the house. So if you're a software company, if you're a company that is providing any form of IT services, you need this insurance, right? And this insurance, like the cyber and this one, mostly is an added on, to your general business insurance, right? So for the technology and omission, this is how it works. So if you are a software, let's say Zoom, right? Zoom is a software company. If my system get breached through maybe a bug in Zoom's software, and that was how I got breached, I can sue Zoom because it's through them that I got breached, right? So any software application that I'm using, if I get breached through that application, not because maybe I didn't set up my identity and access management part of the application well, but it's through maybe some loophole in their coding, I can sue them, right? And when I sue them, guess what is going to cover the cost for that company? It's going to be their technology error and omission, right? It is not going to be their cyber insurance that is going to cover, or their third party. It is going to be this. Now, their third party can cover some of it, but mostly if it borders on your inaction or your error or omission in the software that you built or whatever services you are providing, then is this type of insurance that is going to cover it, right? So hopefully that kind of we have established like the difference between what this is going to cover and then what your cyber insurance is going to cover. So now let's look into what cyber insurance is not going to cover. So we looked at everything that is going to cover, right? What cyber insurance is not going to cover is the following. So cyber insurance is not going to pay for property damage. It's not going to pay for intellectual property. So let's say there was a breach, and through that breach, attackers were able to steal your intellectual property. Cyber insurance is not going to pay for it, right? So crimes or self-inflicted cyber incidents, they are not going to pay for it. And then also cost of proactive prevention measures or preventive measures, such as awareness training for your company or software or system that you're going to put in place to help prevent incidents or to help prevent cyber attacks, they are not going to pay for that. So we've seen everything that they're going to pay for. This is what they are not going to pay for. So now, how do you get cyber insurance? Most insurance companies today are providing cyber insurance, right? Mostly for your company, you just have to shop around, see pricing and which one is going to work for you, right? Now with this knowledge, for anybody who is a business owner or setting up a business, at least you know you have to go for some cyber insurance and then also technology omission and error insurance in addition to your general security insurance, right? So where to get the insurance? Almost all insurance companies provide cyber insurance now. They have dedicated teams for handling cyber insurance, and mostly it's going to be your normal insurance brokers who are also going to help you with the cyber insurance side of the house, right? And to get a better deal, like I said, you shop around. So this is, all that we're going to discuss about cyber insurance. Maybe later on, we will bring other aspects of this to the discussion. And we are going to move into some of housekeeping stuff, and then we will open the floor for everybody to give or ask their questions, and then we will do the selection for those who are going to win. We have four that we are giving out. So 2 from PCI and then 2 for entry-level courses that we are giving out tonight. So for Easter, starting not Monday, I think starting Monday, but we are going to push out that information. We are, for anybody who is interested in enrolling in any of the courses, we are offering a 30% off like we did during, I think, Christmas, right? And mostly for 30% off or with these deals, is going to be a one-time payment, right? So it doesn't affect installment payments. It's going to be a one-time payment. And for our next PCI class, it is starting on the 18th. 18th of April is going to be our next PCI class. So for anybody who is looking to specialize in cybersecurity, in arguably the most lucrative part of cybersecurity and the less known about area or niche in cybersecurity, then you can join this class. There are some PCI students on here. So if you are wondering how the class is set up, you can ask them. It's a very intense but interesting class. And these are the prices for our PCI. We have installment payment as well, but for the 30% off, you have to, it's going to be a one-time payment for 30% off. And for anybody who is starting to begin in cybersecurity, we have some career paths that we've set for people with no IT background, no cybersecurity background. You can go through first. Mostly, we encourage you to take our free cybersecurity for beginners course first, and then go through our YouTube channel. There's a bunch of discussions like what we are doing tonight on YouTube. So you can go through that. We have some students who came back to discuss, some students who are working, who came back to talk about how they started, how they went through the whole process, landed a job and what they are doing on the job. You can go through all those as well to gain more information before you even commit to enrolling in any paid course, right? So, but once you've done with all that research and you are up to speed, our cybersecurity entry-level course is the right path for you. So that covers everything in terms of the knowledge you need to be able to start working as a security professional, the skills, taking you through hands-on, where you get to practice with some of the popular cybersecurity tools out there. And then we also offer job placement assistance where we help you find a job. So for interviews, job interviews that you have to go to, we will do mock interviews with you for every single job interview till you get a job. So if you have to go to 20 job interviews, all you have to do is just reach out, give us at least 2 days, 3 days before your interview, and we will go through and do some interview prep with you. Now we have internship/workshop also on top of that. So once you've done with the entry-level course, we will pair you with one of our sister companies that you're going to be working on real cybersecurity projects for them. And that will count towards your experience, your working experience in cybersecurity. And we try to spice up the variety of projects you're going to be working on. So at least you touch on almost all areas of cybersecurity, right? And for PCI, we have the PCI expert, PCI specialist. The PCI specialist, you are going to specialize in, being an implementer or internal assessor for your company and helping them. So if we say internal assessor, it kind of limits what you're going to be doing, because it's not only assessment. You are going to be the one who is continuously monitoring and making sure you are staying in compliance all year long before your assessment. And during your assessment, you're going to be the liaison between your company and the QSA company doing the assessments, right? So the specialist is a 3 months course with 1 month of internship. The expert is a 4 months course with 2 months of internship. Now, the difference between specialist and expert, with expert, we are also going to, on top of you learning everything the specialist knows, you're also going to learn how to do PCI DSS audits, right? You can do audits, but you cannot sign it off because you are not a QSA. You're not going to be a QSA after that, but you can do everything that a QSA can do, right? And then also for the specialist, you can do everything that an ISA is supposed to do, right? So those are the career paths that we have in terms of somebody who wants to start a career in cybersecurity, and then also if you want to go the PCI DSS route. Now for PCI DSS, we don't encourage it for anybody with no background in cybersecurity or IT because PCI is cybersecurity looking at a specific set of data, or that is cardholder data, or it's a specialized area in cybersecurity. So without understanding a really good working knowledge of cybersecurity or IT, you are not really going to do well in that area, right? So mostly for people who will love to go through PCI, but with no cybersecurity background, we encourage you to go through the entry-level course first. And then, once you're done, you can either, get into the industry, land the job, and then cycle back and come and do PCI, or you can move from entry-level straight into PCI, because by that time you have a solid background. Now for our PCI courses, we will take you through 3 weeks of cybersecurity crash course, right? That is how serious we are taking the cybersecurity working knowledge aspect of our training, because regardless of whatever your background is, IT background or cybersecurity background, we are still going to take you through a crash course that is going to help bring everybody to the same level before we move into PCI as well. So that is for our PCI training, and then also for the entry-level course, the career path that we have. Now, if you want to contact us, Eretmis Academy, and also our numbers are on here. You can also check me out on LinkedIn. All that information is going to be put in the chat. Now we are going to open the floor for questions. I think we had Randall had his hand up. We are going to open up. Go ahead. And then
yes, thank you.
Pick other questions.
Yes, at the time you were covering the fines. If someone is breached, the example was, I think, Citibank, they were fined $80 million. And I'm wondering what does PCI say they do with that money? Is it towards covering potential compensations back to the related, card users that were breached, or does it go against the fund for further education, et cetera, right?
Okay, so that fine wasn't even the PCI fine. That
Oh,
fine
I
was
got it.
that was for the government.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay.
Yep. So that went to the Department of Finance.
Okay. Well, we know where that went. Okay.
Yeah. So they didn't even discuss the PCI aspect. Like the PCI aspect will be on the low side. That will be in-house. So they are not going to publish that. But the ones for the government, yes, obviously they're going to publish that.
I see. Very interesting.
Yes. So those monies, what they do with it, maybe make more room.
Hey, Doc, a quick question, please. I'm George Patton. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great, George. How are you doing?
First time, no knowledge, and I'm still a rookie. Question, when this information are compromised from customers from banks, and they settle or fix whatever security breach, the question is, this information have already been out there. You're not going to change your social security. You're not going to change your data. So how do they prevent that when the hackers already have this personal information? Thank you, sir.
Okay, so like that was what I was talking about. Mostly after that, the companies will have to hire companies that help monitor your credit, right? So companies that help monitor credit, if they have your social security and everything, they track, so they make sure there are no malicious activities going on your on your credit, right? So maybe probably somebody is trying to buy a new car in Ohio and you live in Maine, right? They are going to block that, right? So they kind of keep an eye on. But for those services, they are not free. And the companies that allow themselves to get breached in so doing, your data was compromised, they are the ones who are going to be paying for that. And like we saw on there is the company's insurance. If they have insurance, the insurance is going to pay for it if they have the third party. Yeah, it's a bit problematic, but like once you said, like once the data is out there, it's out there. But mostly, I mean, today with the technology we have, we're able to prevent like most of it, right? So if somebody tries to open an account in your name somewhere, they're able to track and block that before it becomes a big problem, right? Like next, some companies sending you checks. They are sending you an invoice for your car note that you didn't pay for the past 3 months. You're asking them what car, right? Somebody just use that too. And like this does happen. There are people whose credits have been messed up purely because people, had their data through data breaches, and they've been able to use that to purchase a lot of, high-level items. And now they have to pay for it, right? And once those like purchases are made, it's very hard to go back and circle back and say you are not the one who really made the purchase. But for companies who allow themselves to get breached, they are the ones who have to pay for the monitoring, and if you have to do anything to clean your credit, it's going to be on them. So Teo, I'm not sure if it's from your hand is up, if it's a new question or from the old one. If it's a new question, you can please unmute yourself and ask.
Oh no, let me just lower my
hand. Okay, Eku, go ahead. Please unmute yourself.
Can I ask? I have a question.
Hello.
I think like they have. Please raise your virtual hand. That way we'll be able to go in sequence. There are some people with their virtual hands raised already, so I'll let them go and then you can go. All right. If Eku is not ready, Wallace can go.
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Emmanuel. Thank you for this platform and this opportunity. My question is that what kind of incentive or discount do you have for someone probably did the CAP, which is now the CGRC, and then did some kind of self-study on the PCI, not the latest version, but the 3.2.1, read the requirements, but just looking for hands-on and mentorship. What kind of program or discount or pathway do you have for such a person?
Okay, good question. So for us, PCI is a bit delicate, right? So mostly from, whatever training you are coming from, we don't know what you don't know. Right? And you don't know what you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of just jumping you into maybe some internship or workshop program, we rather have you go through the knowledge piece, because everything starts with knowledge, and then you move to skill, and then you move to ability, right? So there are most often people approach you, I know this, I have this, I have this. You just ask them some few little kindergarten questions, and they are all over the place. Now they hide behind, I'm not technical. The questions you are even asking them is not technical, right? So mostly we are thinking about it, but we don't have such a program. Some people had some training elsewhere and they wanted to do just hands-on and some coaching aspect of it. We have all that in the actual course itself, but we don't have it as a standalone, right? Because we don't want to push you out there and say you're a PCI subject matter expert, and you are really missing some pieces of it, right? We want to be confidently say, or even bring you back and work on projects with you, because we know what you know and we know what you can do. Right? So we want to be able to take pride in saying, yes, you are our product, and you can, we can boldly defend you anywhere. That yes, you can do this and do that. So mostly coming from, we don't know what type of training, what type of syllabus you went through. So we cannot directly just plug you into any of our internship programs. But in terms of discount, I mean, we are offering the 30% discount. It's going to be almost for like a week and a half, right? So if you're really looking out for discounts, you can take advantage of it.
So given your knowledge and your experience in this field, what level of your course would you advise that person to start from?
It really depends on what you are. So if you are just looking to break into PCI, start with a specialist.
Okay.
Right now, some people, they have the aspiration of either setting up their own consulting firm or moving all the way up to become a QSA one day, right? Then if that is your goal, then you can get into the expert, right? But if you just want to break into the industry, see how it's going, make some money, and then cycle back and come and do expert, that is fine. But mostly to start, we will just advise you to start with the specialist.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Hi, Doctor. This is Michael Essene. I got a question.
Go ahead.
Yeah. When you're talking about this cybersecurity insurance, I was thinking personally for a company like Geico or any of these insurance company to insure a company critical infrastructure, I was thinking, do they have to send like an assessor or an auditor to go review the company critical infrastructure before they insure the company? Because cybercrime is something I don't really think you can quantify it, and it could happen anytime. I just wanted to share some light in that aspect.
Yeah, so mostly for them to give you like any policy, they have to do some extensive interviewing and getting to know what you are dealing with, right? So you are right. If it has to take them to come to your premises and really look at what you're doing and what you have going on, they have to do that, right? And because as an insurance company, the last thing you want to do is to insure somebody and be taking less money, and then they are more vulnerable. And like when they get breached, now you have to cough up, $80 million, right? You don't want to be doing that. So they will normally do, just like if you're taking like a vehicle insurance, right? They want to see, do you have like running day, like lights? Do you have, this, do you have that? And all that is going to contribute towards how much you're going to be paying in terms of premium. So yes, they have to do that due diligence to make sure that your level of risks on their side as an insurance company, they are able to gauge it well, right, to be able to really give you whatever pricing that you need.
So by extension, those insurance companies will be hiring a cybersecurity auditor.
Yeah, so they have cybersecurity folks in there who will be doing that for them. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes, you will. All right. I think somebody else was in line before Michael. Venkata. I hope I got it.
Yeah. I think in the past few weeks, there was a big incident happened in India. Indian government tried to enhance their websites, and they gave the uplift portion, I think the process of changing all the websites to a third party. And finally, what happened? The process happened, and all of a sudden, in 6 or 8 websites, some 7 to 8 people started selling the army data, like who is the army profession, where he's working, what is his designation, and several other government data. So now the army went into another state, caught 7 or 8 people, and the incident happened. And I don't understand it. So the technology level of the cybersecurity is so enhanced, and now in this kind of situation, the data has been stolen or threat. I don't know how it has happened, but that happened at a very huge level. They are investigating. I didn't understand how did it happen. The data loss or data theft, is it so easy in nowadays if you give a contract to a third party? I mean, I just put the information to you so that you will understand. India
Okay.
is such a big country, and if it happens in this kind of technological situation, I mean, what will happen in the future? I don't understand.
Okay, good point. So if I got you right, Indian government's website, they outsource it to a third party to work on it, and through that they got breached.
Yes, yes. Somebody stole the data and they are selling on 10 websites, and that too army data, not all other data. Yeah, other data is okay, but army data, if we sell it so easily, that is something very stupid.
Yeah, that is sensitive information. So this is what happened. Mostly before you get, you employ a third party company to work on anything that borders on, security or IT, you do what we call third party auditing, right? So your third party risk management has to be on point. And what you do with third party risk management, mostly look at it this way. Your company, look at it as a person. You are very clean, you are wearing all white. If you are wearing all white, you are clean, moving out from your house, you don't want to be going around hugging people who are very dirty. Because if you hug people who are dirty, you're also going to get dirty, right? So what companies do is, that is the idea behind third-party risk management. You want to, whoever you are going to hug or work with, they also have to be clean, right? So you have to, there's a whole checklist of things and, like company questionnaires that they have to fill out, and also items that you're going to ask for to really do your due diligence and say, yes, this company is doing everything right when it comes to security before you get, before you employ them to do anything for your company. Now, for what happened, my wild guess is that the third-party risk management part didn't really work well, right? So if they did their due diligence and third-party risk management was on point, you wouldn't hire a company whereby, and that company is not taking security seriously, because if they are, their own employees cannot just steal their data and be selling it around, right? So I think probably where they failed was the third-party risk management part of the whole thing.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Eliku, go ahead.
Hey, good evening. I was asking a question on behalf of some people outside of the US, specifically Africa, who are interested in taking either cybersecurity or PCI DSS. What are the prospects of getting a job that would actually pay you enough to meet the expense of training? Let's say if somebody went for maybe for what do you call it? The income share.
Yeah, the income sharing agreement.
Yes, that was my question.
Okay, so I think for the income sharing, it is only limited to the states, if I'm not wrong, because as a financial institution, they have limits as to where they can operate. So that is not through us. Eretmis is through Marshall and Leaf. So for them, I think they have like limitations in terms of their boundaries that they can operate in. So I think for the income sharing is going to be only on the state side. Now for talking about, okay, if they do take the training, would they be able to have a job that is going to pay, like pay them back for that? For that, I cannot tell you for a fact or for sure. But I know there are jobs. I mean, in Africa and elsewhere, there are jobs, cybersecurity jobs everywhere. Now, as to how much they pay will depend on where they are working and the economy, within that space, right? So because we have, so I was talking about ADD, our partnership with ADDI to train African youth. Out of the youth that we've trained, I think like a couple of them have jobs now, working in their home countries, right? I'm not sure of their pay or their salary, right? But I don't think they would pay the same amount of money. So just imagine if you're a security professional here in the States, getting paid 100,000 or like 100K plus, Obviously, somebody who is in Ghana or in Nigeria, if they are not working for a company in the States, a company in Nigeria is not going to pay them 100K a year. Right? So it has to kind of like correspond to what is happening there. Now, in terms of cost, obviously, everything in terms of our cost is geared towards United States and everything, Canada and Europe, right? Not necessarily to Africa. So that is why we went into that partnership with ADDI to help bridge, that gap. So ADDI had their own program. They wanted to educate African youth and make Africa the hub for cybersecurity. So like that is a different discussion, but we cannot guarantee that if you go through the training in your home country, what you're going to get in terms of job and salary is going to, we cannot promise you on that one, because it depends on the country and how much they pay for salaries. So I hope that answers your question. Justice, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Doc. My question is number one, for the 30% discount, is there a way you could extend it to the instrumental payment? That is number one. Then number two is you talked about insurance company, and as somebody asked the question, that I hope they will be employing they will be employing people that did cybersecurity. And your question was yes. So my thing is, when we're searching for job, that means we could extend our jobs to those insurance companies too, when we're doing our job search. Is there a possibility on that, or is just going to be companies that deal only on cybersecurity?
Okay, so for insurance companies, aside them providing cyber insurance and needing a cybersecurity professional to help them with evaluation and stuff like that, they need cybersecurity professionals themselves, right, to help with their internal affairs. So that is one. Depending on what type of insurance they are dealing with, they might need somebody who has specialized in either HIPAA or PCI. I think we have like 2 students who got jobs with Geico. So that is there. So it's not just for the evaluation purposes for them to be able to give out premiums, but then internally they need, every company needs cybersecurity. Okay, so on both sides, yes, of course, cybersecurity professionals are needed. Now with the installment payments, so our installment payments, they are with no interest, right? You can pay over even up to 8 months with no interest. So I think, in all fairness, that is our discount for everybody in the community. I'm not sure of any security training elsewhere that you are getting the level of training you are getting, and then also for payments, you can pay over 8 months with no interest. But we do 30% off to really help cut down the cost for anybody who is interested and might want to take advantage of it. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Now, we will take some few questions and go through the chat, and then we will announce lucky winners for tonight. Go ahead. Is it Luthia? Or okay, Lathia. Maybe I'm getting it wrong. Sorry about that. Unmute yourself, please.
Yes, sir, I would like to know, my question is more about the training, the content, about the entry-level program you're offering in cybersecurity, about the internship that you mentioned. Is it taken online or is it a on-site internship?
All of it is done remotely. All our training and internships are done remotely, so they are done online.
Okay. Yeah, and then you have, okay, yeah, I understand, I see. And then you offer all the labs important to acquire the right skills and everything too.
And also for the content, if you go to our website, for all our courses, you see like the curriculum, right? I think with the exception of the expert PCI expert, we don't have the expert portion on there. It's like the first portion that you're going to go through. The expert portion will be uploaded. We were like keeping that tight because we wanted everybody to go through first before we put it on there. But all our courses, like the content, you can go through the curriculum.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot. It's clear.
You're welcome. Welcome, bro. Olu, go ahead.
Yeah, good evening. Please, I have like 2 or 3 questions. The first question is basically on, I think last year you had a program where you wanted to pull some couple of people together to be able to work on projects. I think I contacted you then, you said it was a bit late and you'll be starting in January. But since then, I've not really heard anything about the program.
Are you asking about the partnership program?
Yes, the partnership program.
Yeah, we've not started the new one yet.
So what I'm not doing well, okay? So I can fix it.
Okay,
yes, we've not started it yet. Like once we start, we are going to announce to the whole community, so everybody will know.
Okay.
1060.
So the second question will be on, I just want to ask you, based on your experience in the industry, also the future of compliance and privacy standards. It looks to me that in the last couple of years, looking at the Microsoft, Capital One, even Cisco getting breached, do you think that we have enough standards and compliance processes that will actually secure us for the next couple of decades? And then the last question will be based on how do you tackle the issue of people who have gap in their work experience, probably because they have to study sometimes, and now who are also finding it very, very difficult getting job. So if they go through your program, how do you heal the lacuna in their resume? All right, thank you.
Okay, so all that is taken care of in our job placement assistant aspect of the training. So we have that in all the entry level, the PCI training. We have job placement assistant, and we take care of your resume and cover letters, and how to structure it, and transferable skills and all that. Right? So all that is taken care of in there. Now, your second question was, is there enough security professionals in the compliance side, or is there enough frameworks? Or was that what you're asking? If you
No. I was asking about looking at I'm asking about the future of the compliance and privacy standard, looking at virtually everything that has been going on, the crypto.com breaches, Microsoft, Cisco, who happens to be also a leader in both networking and cybersecurity getting breached. I'm not asking that, do you think that we have enough standard and guidelines to secure us for the next couple of decades? Or there is quite a lot of work to be done by the body, by the PCI body, regulatory body itself?
Okay, so for standards, I think we have a handful, right? It's not adding more standards to the standards that is going to help with the problem of data breaches and stuff. Is really how well are we implementing the standards that we currently have, right? How well are security professionals trained on it to really ensure that they understand exactly what is going on and what is required of them to help their companies to be able to stay in compliance. But when it comes to the standard itself, I think we have a handful. So it's not just adding to it. We can have so many standards and not know what to do with them. That is not going to prevent attackers from not, trying to breach into our systems. So I think we have a handful, which is good. And the standards, they keep improving upon these standards every year, every other year. So every 2 years and stuff. So for standards, I think we have enough. And I think it's Geoffrey, and then Lim John will go. Geoffrey, please go ahead.
Doc, did you mention me?
Yes.
I know time has been, fast spent, so I'll reserve my question, but I want to take this opportunity. Thank you so much for the great job you've been doing. I've been following you, but I've never had a chance to actually get into any of your webinars like today. And I want to say that it's my privilege to be here. I don't know how much I've been missing until I got onto the program, but I would like to talk to you personally, and I don't know how to get in touch with you.
So contacts will be posted in here shortly, so you'll be able to have access to that.
I saw that number, but it's like when I try to call you, I can't get you. Or you want me to reach out to you by email?
So by email, if you call and you don't get hold of me, you can text.
Okay. So next time when I call and I don't get you, I will send you a text. Thank you so much.
I give you a test, 9 out of 10. I'll get back to you.
No, okay. Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mr. Yes, Dr. Alo, this is Olumjan, one of your students from entry-level course. I recently also text some questions through the WhatsApp. Thanks for your answer from there. So my question is about security insurance. We're learning today. Does it also refers to cell phone companies, to individuals like you and me, from cell phone company to customers? Like, the reason I'm asking is recently that's what's happened in my neighborhoods. One of my neighbors was using T-Mobile, and someone using his identity, someone bought a whole cell phone using his identity, and now he's still, T-Mobile says, they cannot do nothing because everything is done smart way, and then he says he didn't buy it. In that case, can we go to cell phone company, to T-Mobile or Verizon? It might be happen to anyone, it might be happen with me and with you. So can we ask him security insurance covering those kind of situations? How is it gonna work? Is it also for individuals, or I hope you understand my question, sorry.
Okay, so you're asking if individuals can take cyber insurance, and then also
yes.
Okay.
From cell phone companies.
Okay, so cell phone companies, they all have cyber insurance. They should. They all have cyber insurance, right? So if there is a breach and their customers want to take them on, that is how they will be able to maybe get a jail-free, card. So it is not only going to be their money that is going to be used to pay all these, monies that they have to come up with. But for the example you gave, I'm not sure if your neighbor's data was breached, or how whoever used it was able to get their hands on it. But if they use it to purchase something from T-Mobile or from any other quarters, and they met all the requirements that they are looking for to be able to proceed with the payment, with the purchase, then I don't think T-Mobile will give. So let's say, for example, somebody took my debit card, or they had my name, date of birth, like all the information that I need to make purchase a phone, and they were successful and they purchased the phone. I don't think I can go back to T-Mobile and say I wasn't. I mean, you can report it to the police, and then you do some investigations on it and try to track whoever the malicious actor is. But that on individual basis, there is what you can do is what I just said. Go through the right channel, report to the police, report to all agencies that you have to report to, and they can look into it for you. But if it's not like a data breach that borders on T-Mobile and that affects customers, when it comes to insurance, for individual cyber insurance, I'm yet to see some of it. Maybe it's possible, depending on maybe what you deal with on daily basis, right? But that will still have some company twist to it, right? But for individual, dealing with normal and companies like that, because somebody used your information to purchase something, it's kind of a bit tricky. You just have to go through and go through all these hoops and just report it like you report any normal crime. Because cybercrime, there are departments in the police departments that deals with cybercrime.
Okay, so someone pretend to be my neighbor, bought a cell phone, like using my neighbor's PII. So, and
okay, go ahead.
And he couldn't prove it, so that he didn't buy, that he was not him, and
so,
T-Mobile didn't pay for it. In that
okay.
situation, yes. The reason I'm asking him to cover that situation in the future, if it's not right now, can we buy an individual cybersecurity insurance from cell phone companies?
Oh, so in case somebody makes a purchase in your name and it's not you, they're gonna give you your money back. Like they're gonna like take it off. Maybe like they got it on credit, so they are not gonna have you pay. Like, is that what you're trying to ask?
I see. My next question is about, you've mentioned at the start of the lesson, we have a certain amount of time after we bought your course. For example, I bought your course in February 6. Now I'm at your Model 5 Part A. So how long I have, how much time I have left unless I finish your course? How much time I have?
So on average, you have 3 months to finish, right? Now, with that being said, if it takes you longer than 3 months, that is fine. We're still going to give you access. Our goal is for you to finish, right? Now, once you finish, we still give you 12 months access.
Right? Yeah, that's my point. So I have time only on weekends as I'm working on weekdays. So I'm taking the class only 2 days in a week. So
that's fine. So once you're done with the course, you have 12 months after that.
Okay, once I done it, okay. After I finish the course, I have 4 months.
So let's say
it
took you 6 months to finish, right? That's fine. After 6 months, you have 12 months to have access to it. So we have some students who are currently working, like you see them logging back in to pick up on 1 or 2 lessons and stuff like that, right? So we still give you that access.
And how does that answering the questions of every single modules will affect our certificate? Does it gonna be shown on the certificate?
So I mean, like once you're done, you've gone through everything. Once you're done, you are done. So you're gonna get your certificate of completion. So you are not gonna not get a certificate because you probably got like a 30 on one of the practice tests. So the goal for the practice test that you have on there is to test your knowledge, not necessarily how much are you going to score or like how many, or like what your score is, but how well are you able to read and understand the concepts that are on there and answer them on your own merits. And if you get the question wrong, go back and do your investigation and find out, why is this wrong? There are some students who reach out. Go ahead.
Sorry, just wanted to make sure. So I see here that was ungraded score just for our records.
Yes.
Okay, got it. Thank you so much, Dr. Otto. Thanks for your lessons. It's really nice. I love it. Thanks again.
All right. You're welcome. Aku, have your hands again?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
So my first question is that, okay, so when the breach happened, the money, the fine that they give company to pay, who get that money? Like the 90 million, whatever the case might be. Who that money goes to, the customers or the government?
No, so depends on who you are paying the fine to. So the government is going to, depending on what type of breach that is, the government is going to fine you. That money goes to the government. Now for customers will see you in court. So if they win, that money goes to the customers. It is shared to the customers, right? I think I'm not sure which company, was it Target or which of these companies? I think they have to pay almost like 250 million plus to their customers, right? So depending on how many customers were in the lawsuit, it will be distributed among those customers, right? But for the fines, like the 80 million that Capital One had to pay, that goes to the government.
So after paying 80 million for the government, and if the customers sue you, you have to pay them another money out of your pocket.
Oh yeah, of course.
Wow. Okay, so my second question is, sometimes can we apply for job in like medical sector, like in healthcare? I know they have insurance, they have HIPAA and all that. Can we also apply for those type of jobs?
Yeah, so as security professionals, you can work across all industries, right? Unless, of course, maybe you are looking at a specific industry you want to work in. So mostly some people, maybe, you are an RN, you're a nurse or something, you want to go back into the health side. Yes, of course, most definitely you can still go back there. But for anybody who is trying to break into the industry, I don't really think it's advisable to limit yourself to any industry. You can work in any industry. And all industries require cybersecurity professionals.
Yeah, but like HIPAA, is there another standard that we need to learn about?
So HIPAA is another framework on its own that is for the health industry. So anybody who is a player within the health industry, either you are like a hospital, like a dentist, clinic, if you are an insurance company providing health insurance, you have to stay in compliance with HIPAA. But HIPAA it applies only to the United States. It doesn't go, it doesn't apply anywhere else except the United States. So yes, you can also measure, or like that can be a niche that you want to go into.
Okay. Is it part of our course? No.
No, so we do PCI, not HIPAA. Right? So PCI is different from HIPAA.
All right, thank you.
So all these frameworks, right, they are all, some are very heavy, some are, like when it comes to HIPAA, PCI, those are very heavy ones. So if you go to a training and they are teaching you HIPAA, PCI, you have to know that they are just going to mention what they are and stuff like that. Not going to go in depth. It's just, okay, this is HIPAA, is about that and that and that. These are the requirements or controls. This is PCI, is about this, these are the requirements. That is not, after that, don't say, I know PCI inside and out. You don't. Or HIPAA inside and out. It's just, you just know what it is and like what goes into it.
Okay, thank you.
Right. Okay. Antonio, go ahead.
Hello, how y'all doing today? First of all, I would like to say big ups to the moderator. I learned a whole lot this afternoon. So I do have two questions. The first question is there any ethical hacking involved in the cybersecurity, the cybersecurity course at all? And the second question is, as far as the foundation of cybersecurity, because I've never worked in the field, is it basically just monitoring all day certain applications just to make sure there's no hackers in the network and basically mitigating critical loss? Is that basically what a cybersecurity analyst do? Or is there a little bit more?
Okay, so to your first question, let me tackle like your last question first, right? It's easier. Let's go with the first one. So for cybersecurity entry-level course, it doesn't cover ethical hacking. Right now, on the hands-on portion part of it, we introduce you to some of the ethical hacking tools as well, but it doesn't cover ethical hacker. So after completing the entry-level course, you are by no means an ethical hacker or a penetrationist. Right? Okay. So, but it covers everything. In security, we have what we call the blue and the red, side, or the blue team, red team. The blue team is the defensive team. The red is the offensive. Right. So offensive deals with anything ethical hacking, penetration testing, like forensics, right? All that aspect is more on the. So those are, the professionals who are trying to break into the systems And in so doing, they identify vulnerabilities and they give recommendations on how to solve them. On the blue team, they are professionals who are defending your outfits, right? So anything from security analyst, risk analyst, name it, a whole catalog of job titles in that area. So our entry-level course focuses on everything blue team.
Okay.
Although on the hands-on portion, we kind of give you 1 or 2 pointers on the ethical hacking side, but not really. Our goal.
So you're saying, I don't mean to interrupt. So you're basically saying you don't need to know ethical hacking to get a job in cybersecurity? That's what you're telling me?
No, you don't.
Oh, okay. Got it.
You don't. And also for people who want to break into the industry, right? Ethical hacking, it's a little bit of an uphill battle, right? And for the easier way is to go on the blue side to break into it. Now, unless of course, you love programming, you are like you used to be a programmer, or you are really good with programming, right? And not just programming, but you are somebody who can sit down for hours, right, researching, and because ethical hacking is all about research. Is people just look at the cool side of it, or you're breaking into stuff, but you can't break into anything if you don't research on how to break into it, or like different exploit that you can use, and there's a lot of. And then once you're done with doing your pen testing, the fun part is the reports. Sometimes you have to know how to write reports on reports on reports. So it's not all guns blazing, all fun. And on that side, reason why if you want to break into the industry, that is not necessarily going to be the best route for you to begin with, is because it's like learning how to fix a car, right? If you learn somebody shows you how to fix a Lamborghini for the first time, and now the second day you're on your own, trying to fix people's Lamborghini, right? If you fix it and it doesn't fix, whom are you going to call? So you don't want to be the guy or girl who is going to try and scan a company's network just to identify vulnerabilities to be able to even exploit, and the scan just shut down the whole network. Now, what are you going to do? So as an ethical hacker, you need to kind of have a senior ethical hacker that you're going to be following around, and you have to have a lot of experience under your belt. That way, depending on whatever situation you find yourself, you can wiggle your way out easily. Now, on the blue side, there are a lot of areas where most of the skills you have right now might even apply. So, i.e., if you find yourself doing maybe an analyst job and your job, or you find yourself doing some GRC job, and you have to work with different teams, coordinate with them. So you're not necessarily going to be the one doing most of the legwork, but what you're going to be doing is coordinating and moving around. And if this is something similar to what you've been doing previously, with the cybersecurity knowledge you're going to gain, it's very easy for you to function in that area. You're a people person, you love talking to people, holding meetings, moving around, identifying, critical thinking. If all that is you, then you can easily function in those areas. So it depends on what some people are just headstrong on, I just want to be an ethical hacker. If that is you, then that's fine. There's a path for you. Right? But mind you, once they throw you in there as an ethical hacker for the company, as a pen tester, day one, you have to hit the ground running. There is no for let me go ask some. No, there's none of that. And you cannot Google or you cannot YouTube some of these stuff.
Yes, I understand that now.
You either know it or you don't. Yes. So
I understand what you're saying completely. I just wanted to know if that was part of your course, the ethical hacking, which you made me feel a lot better about not having to go through that, for your course, if I, start the course here shortly. And you did get the second question, the basically cybersecurity in a nutshell. Is it basically just monitoring all day, network traffic, potential hacking, and of course, mitigating critical loss, critical being the key word, I guess I would say servers that hold sensitive data in a DMZ, just trying to make sure the critical data is not lost. Because basically, if it's a fact, and we know this, I know you know this, that if a real person want to hack your system and they're consistent, they're going to hack it ultimately. So if that is the case, you're just trying to minimize critical loss. And that's your job on a daily?
Yeah, so it depends on their job role, right? Whatever your job role or your title is will depend on what you're going to be doing on a daily basis.
Okay.
Right? So just like any job, you have people who are working as implementers, people in the managerial side, you know, people in high level, like the C-suite, right? So depending on where you sit in the organization, that will influence how you see security, right? So how the CISO or the Chief Information Security Officer, who is the one talking to the CEO about security within the company, how they see security is different from how the analyst who is doing vulnerability scans see security.
Okay.
Yes. And how your manager is going to see security is different from how somebody who is, you know, not a manager will see security. So what you do on a daily basis, everything that you said is part of what you're going to be doing, but it depends on where you find yourself.
Okay.
So
got it.
Find yourself in a place where all you do is risk analysis and like risk assessment all day. So you're working on risk registers, you're working on security policies, you're working on, somebody might find themselves doing maybe SOC stuff. So all they are doing is monitoring and watching screens the whole day, monitoring traffic coming in and out. So it depends on where you find yourself and, you know, what job that you are doing. And sometimes even within the same job title, you can be a cybersecurity analyst in company A, and what you are doing is totally different from somebody who is a security analyst in company.
Okay, makes sense. Got it. Thank you.
So mostly our advice is for wherever you find yourself, you know, continuously develop yourself, because you can work in cybersecurity for 5 years, try to move to a different company, and during interviews, you might come off as if you've never worked in cybersecurity. Because look at this, probably what you were doing in this company, you were working on security policies, and that is all that you worked on, right? As part of the GRC team. Now you're going to work for this company. They need somebody who knows how to use maybe Splunk, Zen GRC, all these other tools. They need somebody who can also do like vulnerability scans. And because you started off and you're so comfortable with where you were, you really didn't, you know, polish up and stay abreast with what is going on in terms of tools and stuff. So now you are here with 5 years, but then you are interviewing and stuff they are asking you is like, you know, totally foreign. So you have to continuously like upgrade yourself. Start, you know, so once you get into any role, for everybody on here, people working in security already and not, don't get too comfortable. Push yourself. So if you have to go for more certifications and not just passing the certification, but gaining the knowledge and skill that is required for the certification, please do, right? Talk to your buddies who are also working within the industry. What are they doing? What tools are they using? Right. That way you are keeping up with what is going on. All right. So Brian and then George, Benson and Alicius will go. Okay, go ahead, Brian.
My statement will be real quick. I know we're running on time. To the guy that said his neighbor about T-Mobile, where they stole his information and bought a phone. My suggestion is, if of course you can't get your own personal cybersecurity insurance, but maybe let your neighbor know that when you do big purchases, sometimes if you use a credit card instead of your debit card, and if someone were to try to steal that or do fraud on your credit card, most credit card companies will refund that money back because it was fraudulent, and it won't come out of the money out of your debit card. So that's in most cases. But disclaimer, I'm not a financial accountant or a consultant, so just check with that and do your research.
Okay. All right.
Very nice. Very nice support. Thanks, Brian. I really appreciate it.
All right, George, go ahead.
No, I think it was a mistake.
My question, my question is, it has to do with the specialist and the expert. You mentioned earlier on that the best option for people without any IT background is the specialist. Would you say, or would you confirm that if somebody has the knowledge, let's say a degree, would that be appropriate for that person to get into the expert instead of the specialist position.
Okay, so if I got you right, so if you don't have any security background or any IT background, we don't encourage you to go into the PCI yet, right? So if you have the prerequisites, which is some IT or cybersecurity background, you can either go expert or go specialist.
What if all I have is like the book knowledge? I don't have the hands-on training in the industry yet.
So you have a degree in cybersecurity, like, is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, if you have a degree, I mean, like a whole degree, then you have some background.
Yeah, and I have done a couple other boot camps, but not, not as detailed as this PCI. I did something in PCI, but it's not as detailed as, you have on your website.
Okay. Yeah, so you can start off with specialist or expert, depending on like which one that you want to go for.
Okay. I just needed that clarification. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
All
right. And I think Fonta, please go ahead.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
I said, like, you can ask your question. You have your hand up.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Dr. Adu, for being patient with us. Wanted
Hello?
to get...
Oh, I thought I was the one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So I wanted to ask you after, I guess what you're doing is also supporting the network, correct? Aside from providing instructions and classes for folks that are interested, but the other business is you support companies that need your skills. And my question is, do you need any licenses after you get certified and work in the field for a couple of years, several years? Do you need any special licenses to support companies that need PCI specialists, for example?
Okay, so yes, for PCI, for you to do assessments, you need to be certified by PCI, by the PCI Council, right? But if you just want to do general cybersecurity consulting, I mean, you don't really need any certification to be able to do general cybersecurity consulting. So if you want to, like, let's say, for example, either PCI, or you want to be able to certify people that maybe they are in compliance with HIPAA, based on like what you want to do, will require the certification or not. So for like general security practices, let's say, for example, if you're like your company wants to specialize in doing pen testing for companies, there is no qualification for pen testing, company qualification for pen testing. Individuals, yes, obviously, but even with that, they are looking for somebody who can do the pen testing, not somebody with a bunch of certifications who cannot do that. So based on what you really want to do, but in general terms, for a security company, you don't really need any certification to do anything that does not require you to have a certification.
I see. So do you recommend in the future, folks that have been in the field for a while, do you recommend that down the road that they, I personally would like to do that, but is that a recommendation from you that, they can start their own company and not necessarily become a competition to you, but start a company and maybe support other companies that need, monitoring on the cybersecurity side or even on the PCI side?
Yes, so it depends, right? Not everybody is an entrepreneur, and not everybody will like to set up their own company and go through all the troubles of setting up a company. But if that is what you are looking into to do, yes, most definitely do that, because we need more cybersecurity companies anyways, right? There are like more jobs than everybody else can handle. So yes, go for it if that is what you are looking to do in the future. Most definitely.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Du. Appreciate it.
Yes. Fonta, go ahead, and then Benson and Nafi, and then we'll look at everything in the chat, and we will announce our winners for tonight, and we will wrap it up.
Good evening, Dr. Edu.
Good evening.
When it comes to PCI DSS, how important is somebody that have a little bit of experience in Linux and is going for more Linux? How can I relate both of them?
So experience in Linux, we will classify experience in Linux in any operating system as your general IT knowledge, right? So yes, you will qualify to sit in the PCI class, but as to what Linux is going to do for you specifically under PCI, not really much. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, that's okay. Okay, thank you. So I wanted to.
All right, Benson, go ahead.
Hello, good evening. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Yourself?
All right, very good. My question is for me personally, I'm just going to wrap up my boot camp for cybersecurity, but the company I currently work for deals mainly with PCI and all of that. So I'm kind of looking into to go into the class for PCI. So my question is like, what time to what time does the class run that for? And does it involve like going online, doing some like Linux, like the other guy said, coding and all of that, or just basically reading?
Okay, so one, it doesn't involve coding. And we meet in the evening, 7 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m., depending on which class you are in, right? So we meet in the evening, so it's kind of doable for everybody if you work during the day. And also all meetings are recorded, so even if you miss it, you're going to have access to it. And two, we have an online version of the class that you're going to have access to. So you have access to the online, and then you have access to the live session as well. So you can sit in both.
All right, thanks so much, Fred.
All right. And okay, Nafi, please go ahead.
Hi, Dr. Adu. So I am in your PCI class, but I have a question regarding the difference. I would like to know what is the difference between CISSP and the entry level course that you offer. That's my first question. And my second question is the entry level cybersecurity course that you have, and there's a hands-on experience course. Does the entry level include the does the entry level include the hands-on experience?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
So to your last question, yes, it does. And also for the difference between the CISSP and the entry level, the CISSP training is geared towards you, training you to pass the CISSP certification, right? The entry level, the goal behind it is not certification, but to give you the knowledge and skill that you're going to be used on the job. So the entry level more looks at you from what are you going to do on the job, right? And the benefits of the entry level in terms of certification is you are going to gain way more than you need to be able to pass Security Plus or Security Analyst. But for CISSP, we are focusing on just you passing CISSP certification.
And have you had some students that have been both in PCI and entry level, so that they can maximize their chance of getting a job in either in either field, or you think it doesn't make sense for somebody to go for 2 trainings?
So for the entry level gives you a really good foundation in cybersecurity, right? So if you don't have any security background or you don't have any cybersecurity or IT background, we encourage you to go through the entry level, and then after that, move into PCI, right? So we have students who are in both. So they have started with the entry level. Once they finish, they go into PCI, right? So that way, PCI makes more sense, and you're really gonna have a better appreciation and understanding of what we do in PCI.
Okay. All right. Thank you very
But
much.
still, within PCI, we still do the crash course. So at least with some IT background, that will at least help kind of bridge some of the gap. Maybe not all of it, but some of it.
Yes, but my point is, like, since nowadays it's so hard to find jobs, so maybe like studying for both, and at the end applying for both, applying for being a security analyst, applying for being a PCI analyst, and seeing where you get. I don't know.
Okay, so with a job placement with PCI, I mean, we will help you get a job. So you don't necessarily have to stack up 4 different trainings just to be marketable. At the end of the day, PCI is also cybersecurity. So if you know security well, or you are taking PCI seriously, it is going to translate into other areas of cybersecurity.
Okay. Okay. All right. And
all right, go ahead. But
yeah,
go ahead. You have a last question. Yes, Matt.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just going to ask the difference between cybersecurity entry-level course and cybersecurity hands-on course. What is the difference between the two?
Okay, so very simple. The hands-on course is included in the entry level. I hope that answers.
Okay, so
if you take the hands-on level, like the hands-on training is part of it.
Okay, so that means if you take the entry level, you automatically take the other one, right?
Yeah, so the other one is part of it. Right now we have it. We have the hands-on as a standalone, because some people will come and they are like, hey, I have some training elsewhere. I just want the hands-on. So then they can just take that.
Okay, I see. So can still people get a job from this one for the hands-on experience if they do have experience? I mean, some previous experience.
I'm coming, man.
So that will predominantly depend on the kind of training that you had before taking the hands-on, right? The hands-on, we are just training you on the tools, right? So if your working knowledge in cybersecurity is non-existent or is very weak, only knowing the tools, I mean, only that is not going to be enough, because during interviews, they are not, aside them asking you, do you know how to use this tool or that tool or that tool? The rest, they want to pick your brain on your general understanding of security and how your general overview of security and how you'll be able to help them maintain good security. So that would depend on what type of training that you had. So we cannot say just the hands-on will be able to guarantee you a job. No, the hands-on will guarantee that you will know the tools, most of the popular ones, and also how it is built. Even tools that are not part of the hands-on, when you encounter them, they are going to be a bit easier for you to get around with.
Okay, yeah, I was saying for somebody who took a security class exam, plenty of theories and a little bit understanding. So yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
All right, you're welcome. And we have Jerry now. So Jerry is going to be the last, if nobody has any questions, and we'll look at the chat real quick and we announce our winners here shortly. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Okay, go ahead, Jerry.
Yeah, thank you for the time. My name is Jared again. My friend gave me the link to join. So like, I just want to know what are your advices, like a new person who don't have no idea on IT and interested in doing these courses. I have a background in engineering, but I don't have a background in IT.
Okay, so Jerry, my advice would be first to take our cybersecurity for beginners, the free course, and then also go to our YouTube channel and literally sleep there. Go through almost all the content that is on there. It will help you really understand what goes on into what really goes on in the cybersecurity field. And then from there, we can talk later on. Mostly, I want you to have some situational awareness and understand what is going on. And then when you have a better perspective of what you are looking at, then we can talk.
All right, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome, Jerry. All right, so we are going to look at the chat real quick. Just going through chats. Oh, okay. Vincent says he need address to the okay. Oh, Nico was asking how much insurance covered for ransomware attack. That I cannot really say for sure. It depends on the insurance company and how big the attack is. Okay, I think most of these questions were asked in person. So, okay, Linda, we can talk offline.
One question, like you said, you have apprenticeship after the course. Like during that apprenticeship, will the students get paid?
For the internship, no, it's not paid internship.
Okay. Okay.
Kobina was asking for the CISSP passing rate. So far, we've had, I'll say, is almost 100%, right? But for the CISSP,
that's fantastic. That's the case. Because there are a lot of companies that now require CISSP for InfoSec jobs related to cybersecurity. And they're saying that because most of the large clients that they work with recommend that anyone who works within that area have those types of certifications. So that certification, if you're saying it's 100% rate, that's fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah. So for CISSP certifications, like you're saying, CISSP, I think all cybersecurity certifications, the first one was CISSP, right? And they have still been able to maintain their seat as kind of the gold standard, right? But if you have a really depend on what type of training you take, CISSP in terms of difficulty, right? CISSP and Security Plus. Security Plus is more difficult on the technical side than CISSP. The CISSP also looks at security more from the operational and leadership management lens, right? So as two different mindsets that you need to be able to pass both exams. But in terms of like technicalities, CISSP is a bit, easy on the technical side. In terms of pure like networking, cybersecurity architecture, and also in terms of questions and how they are set, CISSP is more difficult because their questions are a bit trickier than Security Plus. Security Plus is kind of straightforward. Some of it, almost all of it, right, is which of the following maybe protocol, like which of the following ports or like which of the following protocols are used to for web traffic, right? And you either know it or you don't know it. CISSP is like which of the following is the best to be used for web traffic. Now, all of it is good. Which one is the best? That becomes a bit tricky, right? So it's very easy for you to fill CISSP than Security Plus. But in terms of if you are well vested in knowledge and skill for Security Plus, it's just looking at security from a different lens. You should be able to bridge CISSP. So yes, and I mean, if you have it, it's going to open a lot of doors for you. But mostly what I encourage is make sure you have the knowledge and skills to back it up.
Right. And how long would you recommend you take the course for? Maybe 4 months, 6 months? What would be the recommended time as opposed to trying to condense it in too short a space of time?
So on average, I think CISSP should take you a good 3 months to 4 months, right?
Okay.
Because you really need to understand like the content and security in general, right? And if you take that time to really build yourself, it is going to help you for the rest of your career.
Yes.
Now, because for positions that you're going to hold, whether managerial or above, when we are analyzing security, you are looking at it from, you know, a really good lens, as opposed to somebody who just bulldozed their way through it and they just have the certification. And so you should be able to sit, you know, at any table and really hold, you know, very educative conversation and advise companies on those levels.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So Dominic was asking a question in here. It's a bit lengthy, so I'm just going to move over that one. Live sessions. Okay. I think most of these were asked in person. I'm still going to go through here real quick. Okay, so Jason was asking, did you mention that the CISSP requires 5 documented years by employment to obtain full certification? Yeah, so Jason, for CISSP and CISA, and I think SIM and the rest of them, the certifications that are more like advanced certifications, if you want to look at it that way, those certifications, almost all of them require 5 years of experience, right? And mostly with the 5 years of experience, I think if you have a degree, it counts towards 2 years of the experience. So if you have like a bachelor's degree or a master's, depending on, I think it counts as 2 years or 1 year of experience. Don't quote me on that, but all that can be found on their website. So either ISC Square or ISACA, if you want to go to their website. Yes, that information is there that you can. And entry level help. Yes, entry level will help prep for Security Plus. All right, so I think we went through all the questions.
Okay. Come on, tell me something.
Okay, if there are no questions, we are going to go ahead and announce the winners. So originally there were going to be 4 winners, but some reason we have 6, right? If we could add more, we would. So we want everybody to be able to win. But unfortunately, not everybody will be able to win. And we will, we are trying to come up with a system where we will almost every month, at least we will do one event where at least 2 or 3 people, you know, will be, that is how we'll be able to also help the community out, right? So for today's winners criteria that we used, I think some people caught the trick last time and it still worked, right? So criteria that we used for the first 4 were people who logged in super early. Right, so those who joined super early, the list, yeah, that still worked this time around. So first 4 who logged in super early. So we have Dominic Asari as 1, Vincent Inzimiki. So if I got your name butchered, please forgive me. Lindsay Al-Sinari is also 1, and then Rita Wynn also. So first 4. The next group, next 2, they have been super contributors. So we have Shongo, Mr. Walker, and then we have Brian. So these are our 6 winners for tonight. Next month, we're still going to do a similar event. It's going to be 3, right? So, so for these, like the list that we just gave, for those who are already, depending on what course, like some of these, I think Brian is in a course already. Shongo will be sponsored. So Shongo will be sponsored for the course he's in currently. Rita, I'm not sure. I think Rita is in entry level. So she was probably going to get PCI, right? So if you're already in a course, and Lindsay, I'm not sure Lindsay is a course in a course. Vincent, I'm not sure. Dominic, I'm not sure. But I know for a fact Shongo is in PCI, and Rita, I'm not really sure what course they are in. But all these, so this group, what they're going to get is security, the entry level course and PCI. Right. So for specialists, and they are both the same. So 5,500 for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right. 6 folks in our community. And we are still going to be. So next time, we are not going to do the early logins anymore. But if you still log in early, who knows? Right. Maybe
Yeah, you never know.
one person.
Maybe somebody win.
Yes, maybe
Thank
probably
you,
will pick
Dr. Du. I'm in the
one person.
entry-level course, Rita.
Okay, then you are going to get PCI specialist.
Woo! Thank you.
I logged in at 6:50.
Dr. Adu, thank you. This is Vincent. I'm in the PCI class.
Okay, so Vincent is going to get entry level in addition to that, or you can get upgraded to the. So depending, are you in the specialist or expert?
I'm in the expert class.
Okay, then you're going to get
give it to me.
entry level.
Oh no, I'll
Vincent
keep using it for the PCI class. I'm not fully paid yet.
Okay, very well.
So can he does charity work?
Say that again, please.
Can he does charity work? Give it to me.
Can they give it to somebody?
Yeah.
Please, I was in a 6:50.
6:50.
I was in a 6. I was in a 6.
I was in at 5:30. I love
wow. I was in at
5:30.
Right. So please, when we have
Thank
like
you,
these
Dr.
events, yeah, try to stay ahead. So these are our winners for tonight. Congratulations to all of them, and everybody else on here is a winner. You got, a new take on security insurance. So, but what we are going to be doing to help the community is to be giving out, as much as we can, right? If we could give everybody a pass, we will today, but these are the lucky winners, and hopefully next month we're going to do the same thing. And for the Easter, we also have the Easter promotion going on. So I appreciate everybody's time. Have a great weekend, and we will meet for interns. We are going to meet tomorrow. All the times were pushed out, so please keep note of that. And for everybody else, I really appreciate everybody's time. We'll meet again next week.
Do next time on camera. Who is on camera? So I need to guess.
Thank you, Dr.
This is Mr. Walker. Thank you, Dr. Adu.
Dr. Adu, how do we get the reward?
Thank you.
Oh, so we will reach out to you individually, or just like if your name was mentioned, please, you can put it on the WhatsApp, your email on the WhatsApp group, or directly email directly email us, or on the WhatsApp you can get in contact with us, right? And if you are in a different course, we'll give you like something. So
all right,
all right.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate everybody's time. Have a great weekend.